The LA Clippers won a game, and they actually won a game against a decent team, getting revenge on the Philadelphia 76ers for their loss on Sunday afternoon. And it was James Harden's return. How did things go down? How were the Clippers able to get back on track? And how did the Stars play? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and in my 19th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper and LA sports content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Or I want you to let me know who you thought the player of the game was in this one. Really good to get back on track. Hopefully, this is the beginning of the Clippers heading in the right direction towards the end of the season and going into the playoffs with some momentum. Before we talk about how we won this game, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All you got to do is go to FanDuel.com/lockedon and place your bets on anything. Now, in this episode, we're going to be talking about how I feel the Clippers got down and dirty to get this W, the performances of the Stars, and big showings from the role players, particularly Terrence Mann and Amir Coffey. But let's talk about this one. The Clippers winning it 108-107 in Philly. Of course, this was James Harden's return, and he was being booed with every touch, as you would expect. And in the beginning, he missed his first 2 threes and stepped out of bounds, but was starting to get some assists early on in the game, and that would last throughout the entirety of the game. As far as the defensive matchups, Kawhi Leonard was guarding Tyrese Maxey to start the game, so I've been saying Kawhi Leonard not guarding the best players for extended stretches, and I love that in this game, we started Kawhi Leonard on Tyrese Maxey. Of course, we're switching 1 through 4. The 76ers are doing the same, both bigs in drop coverage, but I like seeing that initiative of Kawhi guarding their best player. Terrence Mann was guarding Kyle Lowry. Of course, Kyle Lowry did not play in the game against us on Sunday. James Harden guarding Kelly Oubre of Zubats and Bamba, of course, matched up against one another, and then PG on Tobias Harris. And again, it was another strong first quarter showing from Tobias with 9 points, and in typical Tobias Harris fashion, the rest of the game he only had 5 points. So, love Tobias, but he's so great in the first and always kind of tails off. But this game wasn't pretty for the Clippers in the beginning. We were down by 12 in the first quarter. Actually, as down by as many as 13, but down by 12 at the end of the first quarter, 30-18. And I thought Paul George's defense was absolutely horrendous in the first quarter. He got scored on multiple times. He got blown by one time on a bad closeout. It's just, you can tell at this point when Paul George is super engaged defensively, when he's sitting in a chair, has active hands, getting his chest out and up and absorbing hits and just getting physical with the offensive player. And you did not see that in the first quarter. You have not seen that in many games this season. And to make matters worse, he had Kyle Lowry on him, and he wasn't even taking advantage of him in the first quarter. He was catching the ball high. He was facing up, just playing right into their hands. And I get it. Kyle Lowry's a strong guard. You're not going to be able to just bully him super easily, but what I was seeing in that first quarter from Paul was atrocious. He was 1 for 3 in the quarter, and then Kawhi was 0 for 4 in the quarter and played the entire thing. The only guy I can say that was really performing up to standard for us in the first was Terrence Mann, who shot 4 shots in the first quarter, which I really liked. All of them were threes, and they were all open, and he made 2 of them from the left corner. But overall, not a very good first quarter for us. I thought Kawhi Leonard was poor in isolation, taking some bad shots, taking too long with the ball, not working quickly enough, allowing the defense to load up on him, and taking a very tough shot where he could have tried to back down a little bit more and get closer to the basket and make the defense either hard double him or he could be closer to the basket for a shot. Wasn't really doing either and was 0 for 4 at the end of the first quarter. Now, when Russell Westbrook came in, he was guarding Tyrese Maxey a bit and doing an okay job. We saw a brief PJ Tucker sighting in the second quarter, and that was all the minutes that he would actually end up getting in the game. PJ Tucker played 3 minutes and 23 seconds in this game. He was -2, 0 for 1, 0 points. And in the second half, when we played better than Philly, PJ Tucker didn't play at all. I'm sorry to all the PJ Tucker apologists in the comments, but it's just fact that we do better when he does not play much. It's just a fact. I am sorry. I'm sorry. If we play against New Orleans, we're going to need him to guard Zion a bit. If we play against the Nuggets, we might need him just to have another body on Jokic to get some fouls. But other than that, he does not belong on the court. Second quarter is when we started turning it around, though, and I think first off, you saw a better defensive effort starting with Paul George. Getting physical. I remember he had a nice strip that led to a transition opportunity. And then James Harden. I actually thought he had some very solid moments in this game. Made some very good passes in pick and roll, in transition, entry passes, all different kinds of passes. And he got an and one on a break and hit a 3-ball. So you started to see better from James Harden. And at halftime, I thought he was playing better than any Clipper. He had 11 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists on 50% shooting, 4 for 8 from the field, and 2 for 5 from 3. Of course, James does have a little point to prove, but I got to give him credit because in the last episode I posted, the Wednesday episode, I listed him first as the biggest reasons why the Clippers are not playing as well as they did early on in the season. He's not creating the same advantages. He's not looking as lethal in isolation. His defense has not been good at all. That kind of continued. I think he had a nice steal on Nick Batum late, but his defense was pretty garbage. On ball, he was getting blown by left and right, and he just can't guard on the ball or the point of attack. But offensively, he showed a little bit more in this game. He got by Tobias Harris. He got by Nick Batum. He got by Paul Reed. So he got by a couple of players, which drew a second defender, and then that's when James Harden's at his best. We can pick apart your defense. And one of the guys I thought did a really good job of knocking down shots in this game, besides Terrence Mann, was Amir Coffey. So James Harden starting to get better shots in the pick and roll and made his 3. His 3 actually kind of got cold, though. But as I said, in the first half, he was knocking down the 3. And a lot of why he's been struggling lately, too, is just he's been missing 3s that he normally makes, whether it be off the catch or the step back. But the Clippers were down by as many as 14, 40-26. We went on a 14-5 run to make it 45-40. And as I said, PG got more aggressive on defense, but he also got more aggressive on offense. He got to the rim, had a nice dump off to Zoo for a dunk. And as I mentioned, James Harden had a very solid first half. Terrence Mann as well, who had 10 in the first half. Good job scoring the ball, attacking closeouts, feeding guys when he was attacking closeouts and drawing defenders and being aggressive. But it was the challenge of stopping Tyrese Maxey, you know. Every time we kind of inched closer, he would go on a run and score points, hit step-back threes, or get into the paint and push the lead higher. But the reason that we were only down by 4, despite Kawhi and Paul George having a combined 6 points at halftime, was that the Sixers had 9 turnovers. And as I said, we got some contributions from Amir, Terrence, and of course James Harden. But it was just getting more physical, and we outscored the Sixers 28-20 in the second. As I mentioned in the last couple episodes, a level of defensive pride has to be there. Third quarter, we broke even 29-29, but it was kind of an up and down quarter. We made an adjustment by having Terrence face guard Tyrese Maxey to start the half, and he actually did a pretty decent job on some possessions. We took a 56-55 lead after Paul George hit his second 3 of the third quarter. He ended up making 2 threes in that quarter on 3 attempts. So you started to see him get going. We took our first lead of the game at 56-55, but again, Tyrese Maxey. And it started with Harden, who passed up a three and a floater. Again, he needs to continue to take that catch and shoot three without hesitation. There was still too much hesitation tonight at times, and also over dribbling and giving the ball to guys with 6 on the shot clock to make things worse. I counted twice where James Harden did that. He has to get out of that in the playoffs because it's hurt him plenty of times in the past over the course of his career. One of the reasons I've really disliked watching him play at times. He needs to be more efficient with his dribbles and just move it along and try to get by guys. Now, when he had that sequence where he missed passed up the three in the floater, right on that next possession, Tyrese Maxey blew by him, and it was a 6-0 run, which caused us to call timeout 61-56. Now, James, I still think through 3 quarters he was our best player. He had a double-double through 3, and the Clippers are 20-4 when James Harden has 10-plus assists. Make that 21-4. So that tells you when James Harden is looking to be aggressive and turning the corner faster and pick and roll and blowing by his man, he'll attract the secondary defender. That's what opens everything up. So it's all about how aggressive he is as a scorer that leads to his assists. Now, Kawhi Leonard was bricking everything, and I mean everything, not just threes, which he's been cold with for the last couple of weeks, but he was missing chippies at the rim, shots inside the key. And then finally, he got 2 fast break buckets, one from James Harden and one where he got a clean strip. And you mix that with Amir and Terrence being great. Zoo and Harden basically played the whole third. And we're still only down 4 going into the fourth. And that's when we saw some changes. For one, Kawhi Leonard coming in with 9 minutes to go in the game. Not just 5 or 6. Ty Lue looks like he's starting to shrink that rotation and get Kawhi ready for that postseason burn. We played Mason Plumlee for a little bit. And there's not really much to mention about Mason Plumlee in this game. He played 7 minutes, so barely more than PJ. Had a donut. He had 1 point on a free throw, but didn't even get a shot off. Had 3 rebounds. But we put Kawhi in and then go small. So that was the first time we had really gone small in the game, is that stretch. And Tyrese Maxey was a problem. He went at Norm. He went at Harden. We didn't see much of a change in switching discipline. And he was getting whatever he wanted. But at the same time, they were allowing Maxey to switch on to Paul George, and PG was going at Tyrese Maxey, and I loved his aggression in the fourth quarter. And on the other end, it was like a game of chess. Maxey became so nuclear that we ended up blitzing him and doubling him hard, primarily with Amir Coffey, who played the whole fourth quarter basically. I think he played the entire fourth quarter, Norm, and Paul George. Yeah, they did. Norm, Amir, and Paul played the whole fourth, and then Kawhi played 9 minutes, Harden 7 minutes and 27 seconds. Not much from Westbrook there. A lot of small ball, and we used Amir Coffey primarily to blitz and double Tyrese Maxey, and at times we did get burned, but it was a good adjustment to just get the ball out of his hands, and they even responded by going small as well, and it was neck and neck the rest of the fourth quarter, but PG, he was really huge in the fourth. But it was about making those big plays at the end. Kawhi Leonard getting those and ones. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about the stars and how they played in this game. But the moral of the story is it was a gutsy win, a gritty win. We didn't give up, and we played better defense as the game went on. And that's how you get it done. You just got to get it done by any means necessary. And I thought we showed more fight in this game. We're going to talk about the stars coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class-exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect mid-size crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Armada, which will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further in the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. I got to tell you a little something about Amazon Fire TV. Amazon Fire Stick helped me get through college. It has every single app that you want on it. And Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire Stick that I was just talking about, that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball, the NCAA tournament, or the NBA playoffs, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. All right. Clippers getting it done. Breaking the little 2-game losing skid, 108-107, and it was good to get a win against an actually decent team. Of course, they don't have Embiid, but hey, they still got Maxey. Nico Batum came back and almost burned us several times. But the fourth quarter, we won it 33-28, and it's because of our stars. Let's start with James Harden. I think his best game since, one of those Portland games was pretty good, but that's Portland. I think it was his best game since probably the triple-double game against Chicago. But I honestly think he might have been even a little bit better in this one, just because we're playing a team that I felt going into it we might lose. Maybe his best game since that Wizards game where he dropped 5 threes. But 14 assists is just huge. The penetration, the way he was creating shots for us again, that's what we're going to need more of. 16 points, 5 rebounds, 14 assists, 2 steals and a block for James. I still think his defense was not good, though. Just getting blown by, and it was... I'm telling you, we can't switch him on to really good players in the playoffs. I really don't think so. I don't think we're going to get away with it against better teams, but he was 6 for 15 in the game, so he didn't actually shoot that well. 3 for 9 from 3, but he got the job done. We shot 44% from the field and 70% from the line in this game, so not that great, but we shot 39% from 3, which was huge. Philly shot 48% from the field, 39% from 3, so exactly the same from 3 as us, and 84% from the line. But the difference is we shot 8 more times than them and had 1 more shot. And that ended up kind of being the difference. They ended up turning the ball over 12 times. We only turned the ball over 8 times. So taking care of the ball was huge. And the large reason for that, James Harden, only 1 turnover to 14 assists. So hopefully a step in the right direction for James, who played 39 minutes. And then you have Paul George, who I thought for me was the player of the game because of the way he turned up on both ends of the floor, mainly for the defensive side in the last 3 quarters. But in the fourth quarter offensively, he had 11 points, 5 rebounds, and one of them was an offensive rebound where he came out of nowhere, and 2 assists on 4 for 8 shooting and 2 for 4 from 3. So he had 4 threes in the second half, played the entire fourth, and he guarded and had that huge play where he knocked the ball off Kelly Oubre that went our way. And man, how many reviews were there at the end of this game? Jesus Christ. And they did say that foul, or the shot by Kelly Oubre at the end, should have been a foul on PG when he went up and looked like he was vertical, but I guess it was a foul. Hey, we'll take it. I mean, how many times have the Clippers been screwed by these kind of things? Doesn't matter to me. We'll take the win, and I thought Paul George was a huge part of it. And he was just aggressive towards the end, taking advantage of Maxey on the switch. And even though most of his makes were from 3, he shot 7 for 18 in the game, but 5 for 8 from 3. I think the process was still a little bit better. But again, he needs to continue to be aggressive. He needs to continue to catch the ball closer to the basket, not make things so hard for himself, that kind of thing. And he had a really nice skip pass that led to a 3, I think, for Amir Coffey at one point in the game. So PG and Kawhi combining for 19 rebounds, that's huge. Because you remember in the playoffs for us in 2021, they had some big rebounding numbers. So Paul George, 22 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block on 7 for 18 shooting and 5 for 8 from 3, 3 for 3 from the line in 34 minutes. again, just get it done. Just find a way. And I think there's nobody that represents better than Kawhi, who was struggling all game long, but the guy just always does the right basketball things. His one-on-one defense was very good. His help defense was there when it needed to be. And he wasn't necessarily taking very bad shots after the first quarter. And how about that cut at the end when Paul George, they switched it actually. The Sixers switched the pick and roll, but Nico wasn't fully attached to Amir. Amir slips to the basket. Paul George throws a nice pass over the top. 3 bodies collapse on Amir, who very patiently doesn't get rushed, pivots, finds a cutting Kawhi for an amazing and one finish. And I still thought that we were in trouble after that because Buddy Hield made that 3. And then Kawhi had that and one. I don't know what Kelly Oubre was thinking slapping down like that, because had Kawhi finished that without a foul, it's a tie game and they have the last shot at home. I can't believe he swiped down like that, especially knowing who it was. What a left-handed finish by the Claw. And that's clutch after having a rough shooting game to make the shots that count. And why is Kawhi so great? He can do it on the other end with that fantastic block. He did get away with a little bit of a hand check, but again, they don't really call that late in games. And that was a huge block. He was all ball at the top. That's what Kawhi Leonard does. And again, you can talk all about the role players, all about Ty Lue. It's the stars in the NBA that make the difference. It is. And they didn't even play that well, but they did enough to win. And that's what it's going to come down to. We need Kawhi to be back at his best. We need James Harden to be back at his best. We need Paul George to be as close to a 2021 level as he can reach. That's what it's going to take. And there was a good one in this one. Can they do it against Orlando on Friday? Going to be talking about that and the play of some of the role guys coming up. This next segment is brought to us by our sponsor, BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially as someone who's unbiased on your life. So today, I want to say how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing this week. I think that Paul George is set to have a very good ending to the season. And here's why. His shot's coming back lately, and I trust his legs, considering what he did in 2021, that it will come and he will be the best version of himself. Therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team, and it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Okay, so one of the biggest reasons we won this game for me, the play of Terrence Mann and Amir Coffey. Terrence Mann, again, I didn't notice too much defensively, but offensively he continues to be very good. Attacking closeouts, knocking down his open shots, and he also had a nice putback layup. 14 points and 7 rebounds for him. 2 of those offensive. Just 1 turnover on 5 for 10 shooting, 2 for 7 from 3, 2 for 2 from the line in 26 minutes. He didn't play much in the fourth. He just played 1 possession in the fourth, but he did contribute to the win. And speaking of contribute to the win and played in the fourth, Amir Coffey, who was the one that was tasked with guarding Tyrese Maxey as the primary defender most of the time, and I think it was a smart decision by Ty Lue to start double teaming him. And again, are you guys going to give him credit for that? I know it's kind of common sense, but he did it and it worked. Just barely, but it worked. Amir Coffey made all the threes. All the shots he shot were threes, and he was 3 for 5 from deep, so he shot 60%. We'll take that all day. 10 points, 3 assists in 22 minutes, and one of those being that huge pass to Kawhi Leonard, who had a great cut and finished. I already talked about PJ and Mason. Norman Powell, talk about quiet. He had 9 of his 11 points in the second half, getting to the basket, attacking closeouts. And the funny part is, even when Norm is quiet, for him to still have 11 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, a steal, 5 for 7 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3. It's just, he's so consistent. So you got to love Norm. Then Russ, I thought he didn't have a great game. Was a little erratic. There was one time where he caught the ball and we were getting into a split action where we were setting a couple screens for Norm Powell to come off. And Russ turned and faced Batum, who was sagging off of him, and baited him into shooting an 18-footer, and he airballed. And again, I thought he did a good job of getting to the basket, but he doesn't always finish at the basket, and that can be costly. And there was one time where he missed a contested layup, led to Tobias Harris shooting a three on the other end. So it's kind of like right where he left off, Russell Westbrook, where he'll have a good impact some nights, but there's other nights where he comes off the bench and he's playing 100 miles per hour and just kind of driving into the defense. And sometimes he'll score and sometimes he'll create a good shot, but a lot of times he'll run into some trouble. So this game was one of those where he had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, a turnover on 2 for 8 shooting, and 0 for 1 from 3, 2 for 2 from the line. And I already mentioned the stars. The final one is Ivica Zubac for the players I haven't mentioned. 11 points, 4 rebounds on 5 for 7 shooting in 27 minutes. Here's what I'll say about Zoo. I thought he was not good enough on the glass. Defensively, he was okay. But offensively, I thought he was pretty good. Finishing in the pick and roll. And at times when he catches the ball 6 feet and in, he's really starting to finish around the basket consistently. So again, for all those people that came at me in the comments, what post moves does he have? What skills does he have? Get the ball around the basket to him and he'll do something good. So got to continue to empower him as the season ends. But yeah, really good win. Really good win just to get the job done. 26 points from Maxey. But we got out of there with the W. And we got Orlando next, and that's going to be tough. They've lost 2 games in a row, but it's a young team filled with athleticism with Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter. You got Jalen Suggs, Markelle Fultz, and of course Paolo Banchero. But they're not a great shooting team. We beat the hell out of them. That was before we even had James Harden suit up. That was when he arrived to the arena. I was at that game. You can find a vlog of it on my channel. We started Bones Highland and Russ that game. We smoked them, but very different Clipper team, very different Magic team. So it'll be interesting to see if we can build off that. I'm hoping we can. It's not just a one-off win because it's in us. It's in the team. They just got to continue to lock down defensively for 4 quarters and try to get the best versions of themselves. And when I mean themselves, I mean the stars. But I think Amir, Terrence, Zoo, they'll come around. Terrence is already starting to come around offensively. Amir, I think he'll be, he's never had a big role in the playoffs. So this is kind of all new for Amir. So this is uncharted territory for everybody that's, the stands, like Harden and Russ stands that haven't really seen these guys for as long as we have. Amir, this is their first time you're seeing him in this setting. So you're seeing the same thing we're seeing for the first time is Amir Coffey playing in these big games and looking like he's going to get minutes in the playoffs. So we'll see how that goes. But I think one thing we got to really look towards is to continue to get Zoo going offensively. But let me know what you think. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where I went live after the game to talk both LA games from the night and look at the standings. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Why don't you let me know what you thought of the episode and who your player of the game was. Back to winning ways. The Clippers are now 45-27. We've got 10 games left. Oh my God, the playoffs are so dangerously close. I can't believe it. Oh, we are almost ready for playoff basketball. It's kind of nutty. It feels to me like we should be at game 65. We're at game 72. Clippers, they cannot have a top 2 record in franchise history now. The best they can do is 55-27. Let's see how we do. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.